Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Kamen Rider review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Deluxe Amazons Driver Set from Kamen Rider Amazons. Without further ado, let's begin. Here we have the Deluxe Amazons Driver Set, and this is of course based on the Kamen Rider Amazon series, which was a adult-oriented, mature-rated Kamen Rider series that debuted on Amazon Prime Video in Japan. It will be making its way over to America sometime later this year, so if you haven't had a chance to see it, you might want to wait for the official release. But the show does take a darker turn towards things, so this belt was only released on Premium Bandai, which means in order to get it, you had to pre-order it through a middleman service months ahead of time. Like I did. I went through Okinawam Toy Seller, who is my preferred middleman for any of the exclusives I tried to procure. So overall, the cost of this was about $100 before shipping. And that does seem like a lot, but at the same time, it is a unique belt that isn't going to get released anywhere else, and I really like the Amazon series, so I really wanted to have the belt. Now, of course, it is based on the original Kamen Rider Amazon from the Showa era, but it does take a new twist by having two different main riders. The first you can see on the front here is Kamen Rider Amazon Omega, and you can actually read, you can kind of see it here, the text does say Kamen Rider Amazon Omega there. I do love the font they've used. It is that same cursive font that they used for the Open Your Amazons campaign before the series launched. You can see on this side you get an Omega symbol, Deluxe Amazons Driver Set. On the back, of course, we have Kamen Rider Amazon Alpha, who is my favorite of the two Amazons. It's also spelled A-L-F-A on the package, so good job, Japan. That's not how Alpha is spelled, but good effort, good effort. You can see you have the Alpha symbol here. What's cool is on the top, you have the driver in its two different forms, with a cool jagged sketch for Alpha, and then a clean one for Omega. On the bottom, of course, you get the normal product information, UPC code, battery requirements, and such. Really, really nice looking box. Kind of fits with the theme of other Rider belt boxes without being, like, too fancy. It isn't a complete selection. This is a deluxe belt. So let's take a look at the belt itself. Here's everything included in the box. First of all, we do have, of course, naturally, the belt pieces. These do have the standard, modern standard belt clips that you just push the little tabs and it clicks into the belt. And these look very, very nice, really cool looking. We also get to the really neat back piece. This covers up part of the strap so you don't have strap pieces falling apart on you. This is really helpful, especially when you're putting belt extenders. That's the thing about this belt, is that it is not adult size. As you can kind of tell, it is the normal child size belt, which is a very odd choice, I think. I mostly think they're doing it for consistency with other deluxe belts that have been released. But it's not a kid's show, and it's definitely, this is a kid size belt. Kind of odd. It looks a little longer than some of the others. I'd have to check, but I really don't feel like measuring rider belts today. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, you will need a official Bandai belt extender like this one, or you will need to just mod your own. It is not adult sized out of the box. What is adult sized is the armband. So this is the armband piece, but what's cool is that you get the strap here. There's a little bonus strap, and this strap, so you get this strap for the armband, and you also get this piece which extends it significantly, and it really makes it wearable if you have a larger sized arm, which I think is really, really appreciated because you can't buy little extenders like this. These are sold on Premium Bandai and they're in stock all the time. These are a little more unique, so you do have that. You also do get this little blade piece, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then of course you get the main driver. Now the main driver portion, which we'll just put the armlet off to the side for now. The main driver portion does have all the little accoutrements. We got an on-off switch here, and we have this nice sleek design. Now as you can see, it is already set with the eyes pointed downward, and everything looks really cool. It is meant to look like the Condra of the original Amazon, and it does a good job at that. I love how the speaker is hidden up here in the molded detail. I think that's a really neat thing. It's very sleek, very nice. The way that the whole functionality works is this is actually a faceplate, as you can hear. This is a faceplate, and you can flip it around to become another Amazon. And that's pretty much how this function works. Of course, you do get this weird open one where it's got like eyes. Kind of strange. Now, while I could demo this here, let's just step it up a notch. Let's use the toy as intended, display it how it should be displayed. Now, as you can see, on an adult male body, the belt looks pretty good. It really scales nicely, as you can tell. It looks nice. It is a little small, I think, from the version in the show, but from what I can tell, it is pretty darn close, which is all we can ask for. It is a deluxe version, not complete selection or complete selection modification, though if they did that, I might be tempted to buy it. Overall, though, really cool looking. So let's take a look at the sound effects. The switch on the bottom, let's turn it on. Cool little activation noise. Now I'll remove the faceplate for now, because as you put the faceplate in, it activates the standby noise. Then one crank of the handle. So that, of course, is the henshin for Kamen Rider Amazon Alpha, which has green lights because he's red and has to have a contrasting color. The lights actually stay on for quite a bit, which is really cool, and it is super bright as it just illuminated and fired green light back at me from my camera. So, really cool. Of course, you can turn the handle for finishing moves. It's got one of those wonderful Bandai 7-color LEDs, and we have another attack. So there we go. Now let's switch over to Omega. So really cool. I love the red LED as it does illuminate the red light really well. Usually Bandai red LEDs don't turn out too well. But naturally, of course, we do have more finishing moves. Now, much like in the series, this handle can be removed to be used as a weapon. Now, there's no sounds in this thing, but you do get this little knife piece that I showed earlier. And now you've got a small knife weapon, so you can do knife things. It is tiny, but it is a neat inclusion. Of course, you're not going to get a full staff or a sickle or anything like that, but this little knife I think is a cool inclusion. It gives it some weapon functionality and replicates the weapon making from the show. So really neat. There's a little release tab on the back here to put it back. And there you go. That is the sounds for the Amazon's driver. Here we have the armband. As you can see, it does fit my arm quite nicely. It does actually fit fairly well. It is a nice fit. It's very hard to get like shirt underneath it, but it is really cool. As you can see, there is plenty of space here as well as over here. Plenty of extra holes. This is going to fit almost anybody's arm. The belt, a little iffy on size, but almost anyone's arm is going to fit the armband, which is pretty darn cool. I think this piece is probably one of my favorite parts of the set, because it does replicate the fact that the original Amazon's transformation device was in fact the armlet. So now I kind of have an Amazon armlet that didn't cost $500 or whatever that premium Bandai 1-to-1 scale replica was. So really, really cool armband. It doesn't do anything, and it doesn't need to, and it doesn't have spikes to stab me, so I'm calling it a good thing. It's really cool. Overall, the deluxe Amazon's driver set is limited in sound effects, and I think that is probably one of its biggest drawbacks, is that you only get 2 henshin noises and 4 different attack noises, plus little sound effects here and there. It does not have a ton of sound effects. It's not like the Drive Driver, but the Drive Driver also required like 100 shift cars. This thing is self-contained, which is really nice to see. Much like the Jubo Changer this year, I like self-contained objects, especially after years of having to buy 100 objects to get a henshin device to work and get all of its sound value out of it. So overall, I think the Deluxe Amazon's driver set is limited in what it does, but it is show accurate in its limitations, and I think it's a really cool set, especially if you are a fan of the Kamen Rider Amazon series. If you're not a fan, swallowing the price isn't going to work so well. If you are a fan of the original Amazon, maybe not even like Amazon's, it is very reminiscent of the original Amazon's belt and armlet, so it is kind of a cool set for that as well. I really dig the show, and I really dig this set, and I'm glad I picked it up. Like I said, it was a premium Bandai exclusive that retailed for about $100, so be on the lookout for aftermarket value on auction sites or other pages. I wouldn't recommend eBay because that gets a little pricey, but take a look around. You'll probably find a good deal. Kamen Rider items don't typically shoot up in value right away, so I would recommend, if you're going to get one of these, try to get it sooner than later. It is a really cool set, and I'd highly recommend it to fans of Kamen Rider Amazon and Amazons. Both versions are represented here. Anyways, that is all for this review. Till next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.